This girl is chasing the train like crazy. She was accidentally tripped and her arm was run over by a train. But not only did she stand up again, her arm also quickly returned to its original shape. It turns out that this girl is not a human, she is a third-generation alien. At the end of the previous film, the second-generation alien Eve was taken away by the military after her death. However, something unexpected happened. This fat little boy is the product of the combination of the male lead and the Earth woman who was infected by a heterogeneous species in the previous film. On the way to transport the dead body, Eve suddenly woke up, and at this time her body is gestating a third generation of alien species. Soon after, the half-breed alien child stretched out his tentacles and strangled Eve to death directly. The co-driver in the car immediately took out the walkie-talkie and had to report to the department. It turns out that the driver, Dr. Bruce Abbott, is a PhD in biology at the university. The purpose of this trip was to bring Eve's body back for research. Just when Abbott stops and holds the co-driver at gunpoint, the half-breed child in the rear compartment stretched out his tentacles and killed him. Abbott felt so scared he took Eve's child and ran away. In the dark night, he ran towards the jungle. At the same time, the Air Force was unable to communicate with ground personnel, so they sent another team to the destination to check the situation. The co-driver was killed at the scene. The driver is gone. There are signs that there must be something strange in this situation. Government agent Wasak orders an autopsy, discovering Eve's pregnancy. Then her body was burned. Abbott returns to his school and finds a dead cat. In the laboratory in the basement, the door has been destroyed. A little girl about 7 or 8 years old stood beside him, and she is Eve's child, the third-generation alien, Sarah. A strong sense of hunger made her kill this cat. Sarah is very studious. She is watching commercials on TV. The girl said she wanted to eat lobster. The food she wanted was already on the table, but she didn't care about human etiquette. She picked up the big lobster and ate its shell and meat together. Abbott is the only one who adheres to table eating etiquette. After Sarah finished eating, she lay down on the bed to rest, and Abbott promised not to lock her here again. But she must promise not to leave this house. He said because the outside world is dangerous. The next day, a man in poor health knocked on Abbott's door. The man's first sentence was, "Where is it?" He went straight into the house. He then unbuttoned his shirt, revealing a bloody abdomen. Abbott was about to call for help, but the man claimed to be the half-breed that killed the co-driver that year. And then Abbott understands that only he knows this, so he concocts medicine to save the fat man. But that half-breed symptoms are getting worse. In the end, he died a painful death because of separation. Then a lot of sticky tentacles stretched out from the body. This scene is extremely disgusting. I wonder how Abbott could stand to watch this horrible scene alone. Abbott called his student Dean. Dean was shocked when he saw this scene for the first time. However, his endurance is admirable. He's unafraid to go to the corpse, and then study the corpse very attentively. Abbott explains to Dean that the man is a half-breed, a hybrid. Their genes have their own defects, so they are more susceptible to diseases. Abbott said that he wants to use this fat half-breed for research. He wanted to separate the DNA of humans, which are susceptible to disease. Then he would open a research project on immune engineering technology. Once they are successful, this will be a great breakthrough in the history of human development. In return, Abbott promises Dean a share of any funding or awards their work receives. While the two were moving the body of the fat half-breed, Sarah's body underwent a strange change. The girl is evolving. A short time later, little Sarah became an adult Sarah hatched from the cocoon. Unlike the young Sarah who was a voracious eater, the adult Sarah wanted to breed offspring. Just then, Abbott's colleague came to look for him. At first, he was not regarded as being impolite, but Sarah asked him back, "Don't you want to come in?" This. There will be scenes that are not suitable for children under the age of 18 to see. But when the man thought he could sleep with a beautiful girl, Sarah felt that this old man had many diseases in his body. She refused to take the next step with the man. However, the gun is already loaded. Why stop? The man intended to rape Sarah, but the consequences were dire. Sarah began to transform, her eyes turning blue. She returned to her original form, killing the man. Soon after, Dean and Abbott went home. Seeing the man lying in a pool of blood, Abbott understood what had happened. However, he did not see Sarah anywhere. Dean was so scared by the sight, he was about to call the police, but was stopped by Abbott. Under Abbott's persuasion, Dean decides to keep this secret, but the condition for him to keep it a secret was that when the results of their research were successful, they had to make all this public. And he also wants to get the honor of studying with Abbott. The two shook hands and reached an agreement. At night, the two tied the man's body with stones and threw him into the lake. At this time, Sarah wore sexy clothes to the festival being held at the school campus. Her beautiful face and hot body quickly attracted a lot of men's eyes. However, for men who don't fit Sarah's criteria for choosing a mate, she will throw him away like trash. It's pouring rain. Sarah still can't find the right male. She sat down on the bench. A good-hearted person passing by offered to send her home. However, Sarah suddenly asked her to change direction and stop the car. When Sarah heard the train horn, she rushed to the car door and ran away. While she ran after the train, Mike, who was sitting on the train, seemed to sense something. He turned his head to look outside the train. The train kept moving and Sarah chased it. She tripped. Her arm was run over by the train. Her arm was also crushed by the wheel. The kind woman who witnessed the whole accident hurriedly got out of the car and ran over. Unexpectedly, Sarah's injured arm recovered quickly. This weird scene makes the good-hearted woman not dare to stay for a second. The woman was scared and ran away. On the train, Mike was also unsure of what he had just seen. He took out the pills from the medicine bag next to him to calm himself down. On weekends, Dean goes to find Abbott. As a result, as soon as he walked in, he was choked by Sarah, who had already gone home. After learning that Dean was just Abbott's student, she let him go. At this time, Abbott has already started to dissect the half-breed's body. He analyzed the cell structure of the 3 generations of heterogeneous for Dean to understand. Sarah with human DNA and self-healing system is the most perfect generation alien. Sarah walked into the lab at this moment and said she wanted to go out. Abbott not only did not stop her, but also indicated to her that this was not a prison. She was free to move around. This made Dean surprised. Abbott was also in no hurry to analyze the situation for Dean. Sarah can't use a human as a spouse. She will look for more advanced species subconsciously, but nothing is here. So even if she let her roam freely in the human world, nothing would happen. Abbott's plan was to inject pure heterogeneous DNA into Sarah's eggs. In this way, it can be mixed into human chromosomes. But Dean is very dissatisfied with Abbott's experiment that is contrary to human ethics. At this moment, Sarah sensed the appearance of Mike, the same species as her. Soon after, the two met by virtue of induction. Blue eyes and red eyes meet. Maybe they'll do it by now. However, unexpectedly, Sarah suddenly didn't want to do it in the middle of the battle. It turns out that she noticed that Mike was seriously ill and died soon. She angrily pushed Mike away and left. Mike, who is in a hurry, he vomits blood and loses his teeth. He is very sad. Sarah, after returning home, showed her unparalleled ability to study. She only needed to look at the chess manual and just a few basic steps, she defeated Dean. She shocked Dean, but he could only bow his head to accept it. Dean, after returning to the dormitory, he heard from a friend that a beautiful girl named Amelia posted an Athena project on biochemical research ads. Since he didn't like this kind of research, he immediately turned off the computer, then took the wine and drank it alone. At the same time, this black man also discovered this girl's strange behavior on the internet. Apparently understanding Dean's feelings, Abbott advised Dean not to fall in love with Sarah, because she is a heterogeneous without emotion. All her actions are just to reproduce the biological instincts of the next generation. Dean is very disgusted with the Abbott's theory, and he doesn't comment. As the experiment progresses, Abbott needs to draw blood for Sarah, but it was unexpected that Sarah stood in front of Dean, undressing without any hesitation, and she also asked Dean, who looked embarrassed, to draw blood for her. In order not to lower the mood of this alien girl, Dean only obeyed. Suddenly, Mike attacked Sarah from the roof. Seeing that the situation was not good, Abbott just had to drag Dean out and lock the door. He intends to kill 2 aliens with poisonous gas. Then he would go get Sarah's eggs himself. However, Dean cannot accept this inhuman act. He rushed in and saved Sarah, who was about to be raped by Mike, but he was unfortunately bitten by Mike. Abbott had no choice but to take out weapons to kill Mike and let Dean take Sarah to escape here, and he was seriously injured in the fight with Mike. Although Mike died of the poison gas in the end, Abbott was unable to recover. He told Dean with his last breath, there will be a lot of hybrids coming. They want to get Sarah's eggs, because if they get Sarah's eggs, they'll be cured. So the situation right now is extremely dangerous. Dean is determined to complete Abbott's experiment and create a new alien species. Dean listens to Abbott's orders, then takes Abbott's body for cremation. After returning, he was madly seduced by Sarah, but Dean kept his cool and rejected her. After all, the woman in front of him is not an ordinary human. He shyly turned his head and left. After returning to the dormitory, Dean did not know that his roommate had secretly read the notebook he had left in the dormitory. This friend intended to send all the data to the beautiful Amelia, because this girl said she wanted the data to do a science project. After Dean knew this, the two broke out into a big dispute. Dean firmly believes that Amelia is also a half-breed. She will come to Sarah to get eggs to cure her. On the other hand, Amelia drove off to take the data, and she was just as Dean expected. As Dean speculated, Amelia was a half-breed, and she was having problems with her skin. She receives an email from Dean's friend and goes to the appointed location. At this time, Dean's roommate can only say that the data is not his. Just as she threatens and coaxes her roommate into telling the truth, Dean enters and encounters Amelia. Dean was scared and turned to run away. The innocent girl walking in the corridor was accidentally hit by a bullet. As for Amelia, using her power, she felt Sarah's breath not far away. She put Dean's roommate in the car to go to Sarah, and Dean managed to escape. Then he was stopped by this black man. He's been waiting for him here for a long time. This man said he wanted to go with Dean, because if they cooperate, the situation will be less difficult. On the other side, Dean's roommate was taken to the laboratory of Abbott by Amelia. Amelia forces him to cure her infection immediately, but this man didn't know anything about it, but trying to find a way to help her. Amelia has a serious infection. She is forced to retrieve Sarah's eggs. At the same time, Dean hacked into the Abbott system in the dormitory. Half-breeds are very afraid of poisonous gas, but Sarah is naturally immune to this. They must find a way to kill Sarah. The two drove towards the laboratory. Dean's roommate is also a top student after all. Soon after, he figured out how to grow Sarah's DNA embryos. However, just as Amelia forced him to do it immediately, suddenly a lot of gas bombs were thrown from the window. This surprise attack made Amelia unable to keep up. Dean's roommate quickly ran away, taking cells and DNA with him. He then successfully hands it over to Dean. The three picked up the car and rushed to the institute. Dean has a nuclear reactor research project here. Maybe this can be used to kill these alien species. Amelia doesn't give up. She chases the three of them, showing her prototype directly. She killed the innocent security guard. Dean closed the leak-proof door and opened the reactor. Amelia goes in and kills the black man along with Dean's roommate. The two found that there was no way to escape, so they threw Sarah's eggs to Dean standing below. Amelia continued to chase him and brutally kill the security guard. She snatched Sarah's eggs from Dean. Thinking that she was holding the winning ticket, she forcibly kissed Dean. Dean took the opportunity to pick up the controller at hand and activated the electromagnet. Under the huge suction force, the bottle containing the egg fell into the electromagnetic wellbore. Sarah's eggs in Amelia's hand fell. Amelia is enraged. She prepares to return to kill Dean. However, she was stopped by Sarah. Sarah threw Amelia into the shaft with her tentacles, but just when Dean closed the shaft, the suction became stronger. It also sucked Sarah in. The scene changes. Now there's an interview on TV. The black man is making official announcements. But is it all over? The answer is no. 3 weeks later, Dean's roommate was in Abbott's laboratory. He suddenly found an alien child here, and Sarah didn't die. He panicked. He discovered Dean was in the basement. Then he knew that that day, just before the shaft closed, Dean found that Sarah was clutching the floor stubbornly and was not sucked in. He tried to save her, in order not to let Sarah, who saved him, live her life alone. Dean uses the mixed blood DNA left in the Abbott laboratory to create a male alien, then remove the weak genes in him. Looking at the back of the two holding hands and leaving, Dean's roommate is worried that the product of their mating will destroy humans in the future. Dean smiled and waited for them to leave. He just told the roommate that the chromosomes of the new foreign species have been changed by himself, so they can't have children at all. In this way, the human world will not be threatened, and the two of them can depend on each other again. The movie above is Species 3. Although this movie is part 3 of the previous two movies, the aliens in this part are not as bloodthirsty and aggressive as the previous two. Instead, this alien race began to have humanity and emotions. In the final battle, the female lead chooses to rescue the male lead. It also represents that reason and emotion have overcome the impulse of nature. It also shows that the aliens still have human feelings after all. Okay, the film is over. If you like it, please like and share. Thanks.